suppose scaring you to death would be most appropriate on this particular evening, would it not?
Huh? Oh, you mean the murder game. I'll have no part in that, thank you very much. Or would you?
My pleasure.
Thanks.
You're completely welcome. I've just checked Mr. Winslow's stock of liquor beneath the bar, and everything seems to be in order. Does Maureen have the food prepared?
Almost. I've been helping her, but don't worry, we'll be ready by midnight as ordered.
It's nearing 12 o'clock now.
Well, then I'd better take this back to the kitchen and see if she has any last-minute instructions.
I think this is such fun. Leave it to Victor to come up with the idea of having a murder mystery party. Don't you love it? I suppose. Though why Victor chose to make it an all-night event is beyond me. All of us in the cast are usually in bed by 9 o'clock. If you find me sprawled on the floor and assume I'm the murder victim, I might just be taking a nap. Durwood, are we the first? I thought Victor said at dinner to meet him in the game room at midnight.
That is correct, Miss Crawford. The others should be here shortly.
Well, I suppose we should go find a comfortable seat, Tony. That sounds like a good idea.
Might I suggest the sofa?
You know, Durwood, after this murder is committed, you'll most likely be everybody's prime suspect. You know, the butler did it.
If you say so, madam. In the meantime, I suppose I should go off somewhere and bustle, if you'll excuse me.
Well, I might as well begin taking notes for my column. Does the whole Back the Night casting crew socialize often off the set? Not at all. I think we see all we want to of one another at work. We have to be on set at 6 a.m. for makeup and are often there until 6 p.m. or later, just to tape one episode of the soap. And since the show runs 5 days a week, well,
I can imagine. They say familiarity breeds contempt. Come on, Tony, dish the dirt. Are there any juicy feuds I can report on in my column?
really, Lila, artistic temperaments flare up occasionally. That's to be expected among creative individuals. Our little spats are not serious.
That's not what I've heard. A little birdie told me that you and Zara Dare had a knockdown, drag-out fight on the set last week.
Zara? That little twit is such an amateur. She belongs in a community theater on the boonies somewhere, not on America's favorite daytime drama. Why Victor hired her, I'll never know.
I can guess why. She's a very attractive young lady.
She may be attractive in a flashy sort of way, but she's no lady, I could tell you.
I thought I heard voices in here. Am I interrupting a private conversation?
Not at all. Come on in, Eve.
I was just using the little bathroom there. It has another entrance on the far side from the library. This mansion of Victor's is so spread out, it's easy to get lost in. So, Miss Lamont, is Tony feeding you lots of choice tidbits for the paper?
No, we're only chatting.
I see. You're ready to take notes if anything interesting occurs. I'm a big note taker, too. Sometimes, in the oddest places, I overhear a wonderful line I can use in one of my scripts.
I was wondering how you managed to come up with so much dialogue. I really admire you creative writers who are able to turn out reams of scripts year after year after year. It's all I can do to squeeze out one little newspaper column a day.
You're too modest, Lila. You have millions of fans who devour every word you write.
And what's more, they believe it. It's a tribute to you that your articles are so accurate. Usually. I think I'd like a drink before this game thing gets in your way. Can I get you one?
No thanks. Nothing for me, Eve.
Suit yourselves.
Hello again, all. Catherine showed me about the grounds. Did you know that huge stone wall runs all the way around the estate? I love privacy.
I'm sure privacy was something you had to sacrifice, Skylar, when you became the leading man on Hold Back the Night. It's the price of fame.
That's an astute observation. Did you make it up all by yourself? I hope you don't mind if I made myself at home, Catherine.
Oh, please do. Brenda will serve drinks later after she's helped Maureen prepare the midnight snack.
Not more food. I'm still stuffed from dinner. I have to watch my figure. The camera adds 10 pounds, you know.
I know. I was an actress before I married Victor.
I remember reporting your wedding. It's a shame you gave up your career for marriage. You were on your way to becoming a major film star.
Victor
showed me about the grounds. It's a beautiful estate.
No doubt. How kind of you to give Skylar a private guided tour.
Yes, well, if you'll excuse me, I must check on things in the kitchen.
I need to speak with you. Allison is insanely jealous of Skylar. Don't quote me on that.
I'm ready to get this show on the road. Who knows, I might get an idea for a plot line from Victor's little game.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice if you came up with something original for the show? Please, Talbot, join us.
Is this where we're supposed to be?
I wondered where you two wandered off to.
After dinner, Talbot and I slipped off to find some bedrooms and take a nap.
We were in separate rooms, Miss Lamont. Talbot and I have been man and wife on the show for so many years. People seem to think we're married in real life as well.
It's something Edna and Tom, that's our real spouses, have gotten used to by now.
I can't imagine why Victor insists that Talbot and I take part in this mysterious game of his. He knows we're not spring chickens anymore. We need our sleep.
Before the night's over, Victor is going to make an announcement you need to hear.
How wonderful. A scoop for my column. I don't suppose you'd give me a hint.
And incur Victor's wrath for letting the cat out of the bag early. No way.
As I said, I didn't expect you to tell me.
Well, since we're here for mystery games, I'll give you a clue. It will affect... Hold back the knife.
See, Sarah? I told them they wouldn't starve without us.
I believe we have a few more minutes before midnight arrives, young man.
There's Eve. Eve, you're just the one we want to see. Chad and I have a great idea.
And what would that be, Sarah?
Well, since we play the youngest couple on the show, we thought my character, Lulu, could get hit on the head and wake up expecting a baby. But she has amnesia and can't remember who the father is.
And then Nathaniel, I would get wildly jealous and vow to find out who got Lulu in trouble and kill him.
I hate the idea. They'd have me knitting booties for my unborn great-grandchild till the cows come home.
What about me? As her mother, I had the Guinness Book of World Record, having the longest nervous breakdown in history.
Have you considered this as slow-paced as soap operas are? If we use your idea, Lulu would be pregnant for 3 years or so. Do you really want to wear a pillow and maternity clothes on the show for that long?
I hadn't thought of that. It was a lousy idea. Forget it.
Can't you come up with something for us? Zara and I think it's time you let our characters scare the show for a while.
The conceited, pushy little ham. All the stars have pulled back tonight, and they were trying to turn you into grandparents.
What's wrong with that, Allison? You and I have a grandchild.
Not in public.
As it happens, we're going to introduce a new plotline on the show soon. It will affect all of the characters. That is the subject of Victor's big announcement tonight.
There you go, getting my curiosity aroused.
Don't get too curious, Lila. Curiosity kills cats, you know.
You haven't begun yet. Good.
You couldn't start without our esteemed director.
The bar's open, Gary, if you'd like to wet your whistle.
I shouldn't, but my ulcer's been quiet so far, so I'll indulge. It's gonna be a long night. A little fortification might be in order.
Mr. Anderson, Eve has been hinting about a new development Victor has planned for the show. Do you know what it is?
I have the vaguest idea, Miss Lamont. But Victor is the best producer of daytime drama in the business. I'm sure whatever he's come up with will be terrific.
I hope so. Our ratings have been slipping a bit lately.
Hail, hail, the gang's all here. Almost. Why don't you be seated, Catherine, while I call the servants? I want everyone present when I announce the rules to my new game. All of you know one another, of course, but I've invited a mystery guest that should be here any minute. I've asked him to arrive just before 12 o'clock.
I must say, we are all intrigued by your actions thus far.
Good, Talbot. The mystery should be intriguing and exciting. I promise you an evening you'll never forget.
He obviously doesn't know Talbot's memory very well.
You rang, Mr. Winslow?
Yes. I want you all here for some announcements. Ah, there's your last visitor now. Maureen, I assume all is in readiness for the dining room.
It's as ready as it's going to be, Mr. W.
Fine.
I swear, Victor, if I eat another bite, I'll just bust right out of my dress.
If she takes a deep breath, she'll pop out of it. And you better not let me catch you looking when it happens.
Pete, perfect timing. Come in.
Got a nice spread here, Mr. Winslow.
I like it. Durwood, if you'll activate the system.
As you wish.
The new guy is cute. Wonder if he's married?
Behave yourself, girl.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order.
A lot of these mugs, excuse me, faces. A lot of these faces look quite familiar already. I've been watching the soap since we've had our little deal.
How very enterprising.
Come again?
It's not important. Let me tell you who everyone is, and we can get better acquainted later. Everyone, this is Pete Griffin. Pete's a private investigator. I've hired him to act as a consultant on the show. Pete, over here is our leading man, Skylar Trent, and his wife, Allison. My wife, Catherine. These lovely ladies are Lila Lamont, the newspaper columnist, and two more of the show's stars, Tony Crawford and Louise Burke. Talbert Worthington, who plays Louise's husband. Behind the bar is night's director, Gary Anderson. Our ingenue, Zara Dare. Head writer, E. Fulton. And juvenile lead, Chad Martin. As you'll notice, then we add up to 13. That gives us the total number we need to play our little murder mystery game I'm creating. I call it 13 past midnight. The servants are not players. They are here to make your evening more enjoyable. Should any of you need anything at all, just ask Durwood, our butler, Brenda, our maid, or Maureen, our cook. Now, Mr. Griffin, if you'd like to have a seat, perhaps with our silent guest there, explain what the game's all about and why I've chosen the company present to play it.
We all know how much you love games, Victor. Whatever inspired you to invent one?
I was just going to explain that, Louise. As you all no doubt know, murder mystery parties have become a popular form of entertainment. Game manufacturers now produce party kits such as this one. Which contains everything you need to commit a nice little murder.
Oh, I've played one of those before. The host gives each guest a packet of cards that tells them who his or her character is, and how they feel about each other, who they like or want to kill, you know. I turned out to be the victim. Everybody wanted to kill me. The host deserves an award for perfect casting.
Exactly. I've recently been in touch with Arthur Reeves, the president of Reeves Enterprises, who produces a number of such party games. I approached him with the idea of manufacturing a game based on Hold Back the Night. I've invited you all here to help me develop the idea.
So, you're going to call this game 13 Past Midnight, featuring characters from the soap?
That's my plan. Actually, the game players will represent the actors who play roles in the show, such as some crew members as well. Which is you, the head writer, Gary, the director, Lila, a gossip columnist, and so on.
What?
You go ahead.
But who do you want to kill?
Some of you will dislike one another for various reasons, and all of you will hate the producer of the show.
May I ask a question?
Of course, Pete. What is it?
Well, why does everyone hate the producer? I mean, when a killer bumps somebody off, he's got to have a motive. Unless he's just a complete nut job or something.
Ah, yes. The motive. In our situation, the game players want to kill the producer because he's going to fire him. Or her. Some of the crew will get the axe as well. That is their motive for murder.
I'm glad it is just a game.
The fact is, it is more than just a game. I really am going to make changes to the show. Drastic changes. the characters on Hold Back the Night is going to be murdered. Our ratings have dropped an entire point on the Nielsen scale over the last few months. Killing off a major character should revive the viewer's interest very nicely. We're bringing a new character, a detective. We'll attempt to discover the identity of the murderer. That is why I've hired Pete to serve as a consultant on the soap.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but I've put a few criminals in the slammer.
Who's getting fired? Which of us are you going to let go, Victor?
I'll make an announcement at 6 a.m. when the game ends.
Victor? I think that's a terrible way to tell your cast. Some of them have been on Hold Back the Night for years.
You said Cruz.
Yes, I intend to replace some of the creative staff as well. You'll find out who in the morning.
I assume my job is to act as an investigative reporter, but one thing puzzles me. Why have you included Catherine in the game? Is she a suspect as well?
She might have the strongest motive of all, since the producer plans to divorce her, just as I've started the proceedings to divorce Catherine.
Did you have to announce your divorce as part of the game? You're the cruelest man who ever lived.
We would have to tell the press sooner or later. We might as well let Lila have a scoop.
You could have told her in private.
See how exciting the game is already?
Really, Victor?
Let's proceed. To simplify matters, why don't we use our own names tonight? I'll invent fictitious names for the characters later. I've had the prop department at the studio make that dummy there to serve as my stand-in. Pretend he's me. I intend to circulate around the house and observe you all at play. Here you go, Victor.
Are we supposed to ignore you if our paths cross?
Yes. From this point on, direct all of your hostilities towards my alter ego here.
Victor, I'm very sorry to hear about you and Catherine, but since you were kind enough to give me an exclusive, I'd like to phone it into the paper. There's still time to make the morning edition.
I'm afraid that's not possible, Lila. I've switched off all the phones at a hidden control box that only I know the location of.
But why?
Because it's part of the game! Also, I've had Durwood activate the computerized system that controls the lock on the main gate. An electrical current now runs through the gate, as well as the wires along the top of the walls that surround the estate. The circuitry is programmed so that the electricity shut off and the lock disengage at 6 a.m. when the game concludes.
But what if someone should become ill or hurt?
I can shut the program down in the event of an emergency. I'm the only one who knows the correct numerical combination.
And what if something should happen to you, Mr. Winslow?
You would have to wait till morning to summon help. I'll take that chance. Catherine, my dear, so you've decided to rejoin us. I was just explaining to the others how we will be totally isolated from the rest of the world for the evening. Trapped together. 13 past midnight.
Some of the servants might be ready to kill you as well. I don't want to play your stupid game, Victor. Let me leave. I can check into the Beverly Wilshire Hotel.
And spoil the fun? No, my darling wife. I must insist that you stay. Before I turn you all loose to play the game, there's one more thing. If you're going to commit a murder, then you'll need a murder weapon, of course. I have a few handy here that you can feel free to use.
But suppose we have no motive to commit a murder.
Then I suggest you take a weapon for self-defense. I'm sure Victor 2 over there isn't the only potential victim in the room, though he's the most likely one. Here we have several guns. They're real, but loaded with blanks. Naturally. Some of you might prefer a knife, but be careful, they're sharp. Bottles of poison, which are actually saccharine tablets. I've also made certain that the curtain ropes on the drapes in the living room are detachable should any of you wish to hang your victim.
You've thought of everything.
Oh, surely not. Don't feel bound to the weapons I provided here. You might use a pillow from the sofa to smother your victim. Or maybe strip an electrical cord from the lamp to electrocute him or her. Or maybe cosh your victim on the head with a piece of bric-a-brac in the bookshelf. Be imaginative. Be creative. Be resourceful. Let your imaginations run wild. This is a game, after all. Have fun.
What happens after someone gets murdered? Is the game over?
Of course not. The rest of us will try and discover the identity of the killer. Right, Victor?
Correct. The murderer should try to get away with the crime. I can't wait to see how you all do as amateur sleuths, including Pete, our real detective, of course. Let the game begin. Feel free to roam about the entire house and grounds too, if you wish. Just be careful not to touch the gates. Also, I should warn you, I have a pair of Dobermans that normally roam the grounds at night. I've kept them in their pens tonight, naturally, but don't go near the cages. If they got free, they could hurt someone quite badly. Now, Durwood, you three are resumed to do your duties.
And not a moment too soon, if I may say so, Mr. W. You're about to have your first corpse on your hands because my bunions are killing me.
My apologies, Maureen.
I'll overlook it this time. There's food and coffee on the sideboard in the dining room. Help yourselves.
Victor couldn't have meant us. Surely he wouldn't give us the axe.
My sweet, naive Talbert. If it was Sadie pulled back the knife, Victor would decapitate his own mother like a Thanksgiving turkey.
I think I'll go look around outside. Maybe I can find some toadstools or something really neat to use as a murder weapon.
You've got a knife.
That's to protect myself. This is fun.
Fun? Didn't you hear what Victor said? Aren't you worried you might be the one who gets fired?
Oh, Victor would never fire me, would you? I'll be in the garden, Victor, if you should want me. See ya. This is so exciting. I can't wait to find out who gets murdered on the show. I'll be on pins and needles till 6 o'clock.
I'm afraid you'll have to wait longer than that, Lila. The identity of the murderer will be a closely guarded secret until the day the episode airs.
But Victor...
Don't be greedy, dear heart. I've given you a number of exclusives already this evening.
Fine. If you're going to be a meanie about it, I'm going to use the loo over there. Watch your back.
You too. You've written stories about some of your fellow players that were quite vicious.
Gary Anderson. I direct Tollback tonight, unless Victor replaces me after tonight. Welcome aboard.
Pete Griffin, thanks. It'd be nice to be working with a murder that isn't real for once.
Aren't you gonna get a weapon too?
No need. I pack a rod, only it ain't loaded with blanks. I can defend myself without it, though.
I'm sure you can. Why don't we grab a cup of coffee and I'll show you around the house? Mansion, really. It's quite a showplace.
Sounds good to me. Lead the way, Mr. Anderson. Are you sure you want to be giving the dummy coffee? The caffeine might be a shock to its system.
It's you, Mr. Griffin. No, Mr. Winslow just wanted me to put a cup by the dummy in case anybody wanted to poison him.
I'm surprised no one's attacked his, what did he call it? His stand-in yet. The boss seemed to give a lot of these people good reasons to want to knock him off. Name's Pete, by the way.
Brenda.
It's nice to meet you, Brenda. I don't get to meet many nice girls in my line of work.
I don't get to meet many private investigators in mine. I've always been fascinated by men who put their lives in danger.
Well, I've had a few close scrapes in my day.
I'd love to hear about them.
Maybe after this shindig is over, we can get together and I'll tell you about some of my cases.
I like that, Pete.
It's a date, Brenda.
Oh, hello.
Don't mind us.
No, excuse me. I was just passing.
That was the actor's wife, right? Trent.
Allison Trent, yes.
When the boss introduced me to everyone, I was sort of wondering why she was here. I mean, I get the feeling she's not really connected to the show.
Simple. She keeps such a tight rein on her husband. Mr. Winslow knew there was no chance she'd let him go to an all-night party without her. He had to invite her to get her to come.
You seem to know quite a lot about the guests.
Well, Mr. Winslow talks freely in front of his servants. To him, we're no more than sticks of furniture.
I don't suppose you've heard who he's going to knock off the show, have you?
No. As far as I know, he's kept that to himself. But listen, Pete, I'd love to talk with you some more, but I have to get back to the kitchen to help Maureen with the dishes.
I'll walk you there. Say, Brenda, perhaps you could, act as my sort of assistant. Keep your eyes and ears open. Anything that might help me solve the murder when it happens.
That sounds like fun.
Naughty, naughty.
Oh,
Don't let me stop you.
I can hardly kill Victor in front of you, can I? The murderer is supposed to try to commit the crime undetected.
I must say, you've gotten into the spirit of the game.
I wouldn't be if it had been for Victor's announcement.
Really? You think he'd really kill off your character on the show? Martha's become a soap opera institution.
Which is a prime reason to eliminate her. It would cause shockwaves throughout the industry. What better way to gain tremendous publicity than kill off the matriarch of the daytime drama?
I suppose so.
It won't surprise me if he does away with either me or Talbot. It would mean the ends of our careers if we were cut from the show. We've been identified with our characters for so many years, no one else would hire us. The other producers know audiences wouldn't accept us in any other parts.
That would be a shame, but still, I think Catherine has the strongest motive. The divorce,
Victor has had girlfriends on the side for years. Usually, cute little starlets like Zara. If Catherine knew about them and accepted his infidelities, why would he decide to cast her aside now? It would cost him a fortune in alimony and property settlement.
No, it won't.
What do you mean? This is California. The community property law states...
Oh, when Victor and Catherine got engaged, Victor made Catherine sign a prenuptial agreement that stated in the event they ever divorced, Catherine would get $100,000 tops.
But Victor has millions.
I know. I remember thinking she was foolish to sign the agreement, but I suppose if she hadn't, Victor wouldn't have married her.
That scoundrel.
I agree. Catherine was on her way to becoming a major film star and could have become quite wealthy on her own. Victor is getting his freedom dirt cheap.
Louise, I was wondering where you went. I took a walk outside. Thought the fresh air might help me stay awake. I think I'm going to need some coffee, though. Do you remember how to get to the dining room?
I'd have to look after Talbot more than I do of my own husband. This way, dear. I'll show you. Come on.
I need something stronger than coffee. The coast is clear. Come on.
I'm not sure this is such a good idea.
It's a great idea. Victor said to be inventive. Well,
bet he never thought he'd be crushed to death by a potted plant.
He didn't say we could team up to kill him.
He didn't say we couldn't. This way we can murder him together and then provide each other with an alibi.
I'm not sure Allison would like that. She's probably looking for me right now.
Then let's hurry. You can't hit him with it here. Wait. I'll move him. Now drop on the sucker.
I can't see.
Here, I'll help you. Look up my toes. I'm sorry, but the sight of you trying to kill Victor with a bush is just too funny. It's ingenious but hilarious.
Who is it? I can't see.
It's Lila Lamont, and you've spoiled it. Sorry. We'll have to think of something else.
Miss Crawford, are you committing a murder, or did you get a set of nursery decorate the house?
Neither. But put the plant back where we found it. This way, Spike.
May I do anything for you, Miss Lamont?
No, thank you, Durwood. I was about to make myself a drink when Tony and Skylar came in.
I assume they are responsible for placing the victim on the floor.
Yes, they didn't want to damage the table when they crushed him to death.
How thoughtful. You don't often find such considerate murderers.
I'm sorry I stopped them. I'm ready for someone to do away with Victor's double so we can start investigating the crime.
There are still almost 5 hours left to play the game, and who knows, it might be someone else who is done away with.
I suppose so. Well, I don't often find myself locked in a house full of celebrities for the night. I'm going to go get some quotes for my column. See you later, Durwood.
No doubt, Miss Lamont. That's for you know what, Mr. Winslow.
So then I told Chad I wasn't worried because I knew there was no way you would fire me from the show. Hey, where'd you go?
Someone has put Victor 2 on the floor. There are no signs that anyone has murdered him, though. Help me get him back into the chair.
I just love darts. I wish I knew how to play them. You'll teach me, won't you, Victor? Once we're married and I moved in and all?
Of course, my dear.
I think that would be good for my image, you know. Smart as well as sexy. It'll be good publicity for the show.
But you won't be on the show.
What?
I'll expect you to devote all your time to being Mrs. Victor Winslow. So what I demanded of Catherine, and she agreed.
Yeah, and look where it got her.
As soon as my divorce from her is final, I'll set an appointment for you to meet with my lawyers. They'll go over the prenuptial agreement I expect you to sign.
Agreement?
Of course. It's a minor but necessary requirement before we take our vows. There. Now that Victor 2 is back where he belongs, we should leave this room alone so the game can continue.
Right. The game.
I have a taste for one of Maureen's delicious pastries. Join me.
I just need to go check my makeup. I'll use the little bathroom over there.
Suit yourself. I'll find you when I want you.
Give up my career? Sign a prenuptial agreement? We'll see about that. Ha!
So you're the one Victor was dumping me for. I assumed as much. Though I must say, his taste in women has declined over the years.
Go ahead and insult me. I don't care. Soon you'll be out in the streets, and all this will be mine.
But for how long? When Victor tires of you, he'll discard you for some other trashy little starlet. Of course, by then, any chance you ever had at a show business career will be over. just like mine.
Never. I'll persuade Victor to let me continue acting on the show.
Don't kid yourself. Victor wants you here at his beck and call. It'll be that or nothing.
But being a star is all I ever dreamed of. Maybe I won't marry Victor. I might let you have him back, Catherine. How would you like that?
Victor and I are finished regardless. If you back out now, he'll kick you off the show for spite, and he'll blackball you so that no one else in the industry will hire you. Victor can be very vindictive. Face it, Zara. Either way, as an actress, you're all washed up. Ugh. He's not there, he's here. Victor has moved back onto the chair.
We should have done that. Somebody could have tripped over him.
Not everyone is as clumsy as you, Skylar.
Me? I'm not that clumsy.
Are you forgetting the time you walked into a camera during a taping?
That wasn't my fault. My contactor slipped around to the side.
I see.
It's more than I did.
Forget it. I can't believe we were lucky enough to find the bucket beside the spigot.
Tony, can we get this over with? The bucket is heavy. If I drop it, I'll splash water all over the place.
Okay. Do you want to hold it while I stick his head down in it, or vice versa?
It doesn't matter. Just get on with it.
The bucket is too full. If I stick his head down in it, the water will run out. This is a new dress. If you make me get water on my new dress, I'll kill you!
Well, how do you expect me to get rid of it?
You can chug a lug it for all I care.
If you had let me make the noose from the curtain rope, we wouldn't be in this mess.
I told you that's too ordinary. Any old murderer uses a noose. If you can show Victor just how creative we are, maybe he won't be so quick to drop one of us from the show.
But if we make a puddle on his rug, he'll give us both the boot.
You're right. This isn't going to work. Come on, Skylar.
Come on, Eve, you can tell me.
I did tell you, I don't know who's going to be fired from the show.
Then why don't you look worried about your job?
Victor told me that one of the characters will be murdered. I've changed the tone of the scripts to add a mysterious air to the show. To prepare the viewers for something shocking to happen. Haven't you noticed?
Well, yes, now that you mention it.
The scripts reflect my style, Gary. Every great writer has a distinctive style. If Victor were to replace me, the style of the writing would change. No matter how subtle the difference between me and replacement, the audience would sense the change. Now, why would Victor bring in someone new when a major plotline is developing? I think my position is safe enough.
I wasn't thinking Victor would bring in someone new. I was thinking about your assistant.
Alan, but...
Haven't you noticed Victor has bring Alan into his office for a private conference almost every day this week?
No, I didn't. Alan didn't mention it.
Now, what could he be talking about, Eve? New scripts for the show, maybe? Imitating your style, maybe? I wouldn't be so complacent if I were you.
I think I need to have a talk with Victor.
Good. While you're at it, see if he gives any hints about my job.
Fend for yourself. Gary, please, I'm going to the bathroom. My fingers are sticky. I'm going to wash my hands.
Sorry.
Crumbs. Who does the woman think she is, Gretel? You know why.
waiting for? Do it!
I can't. It's too morbid. You do it.
I'm not strong enough to cut his head off. For goodness sake, it's just a dummy. It's not as if it's gonna spurt blood all over you. Don't be so squeamish.
Blood?
Oh, good grief! What is this place? Grand Central Station? Have you seen Skylar?
No. If you don't mind, Victor, I think I'll make myself a drink. Know what I've decided? I've decided I'm the one going to axe off the show. It's obvious what's going on between you and Zara. You hate it when I play love scenes with her, don't you? I noticed you came to the set last week, the day we taped Nathaniel and Lulu giving way to mad passion in the jacuzzi. You stood beside the camera and glared at me the whole time. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Winslow. I enjoyed that scene, in spite of you. There's a knockout, you know. I just think it's a shame that she had to get involved with an old fuddy-duddy like you when someone like me is available. I mean, I've got youth, charm, and good looks.
And I've got brains, power, and millions of dollars.
Mr. Winslow, I was just playing the game. I didn't mean sorry.
My arrogant young friend, you don't know what sorry is. Yet.
Wait, Mr. Winslow, I didn't mean it. Mr. Winslow!
Thank you so much, Louise.
That's quite all right, dear. You just gotta line up the little arrow on the lid with the arrow on the neck of the bottle. See?
How very clever. If I hadn't found you, I was going to look for a hacksaw next. If we poison Victor's coffee, how will anyone know we've killed him?
I suppose we should leave one beside his cup. That should do it.
Brilliant. Do you want to or shall I?
Why don't we both take part?
Wonderful idea. Ready?
How am I supposed to hang him if you cut his head off?
Have you ready? No. You came in before we...
What should I do now?
Put a lid on it. The poison bottle.
Okay, Victor, you'll be... Oh. Has someone already? No, but the line forms to the right if you want to take a crack at him.
You looked very angry just then, Zara. Has something happened we don't know about?
Mind your own business, Grandma.
You don't have to be so rude. If you really were my granddaughter, I'd send you to your room.
Prepare to die! That was a great entrance, Gary.
Thank you. It's how I had hero entrance in the movie I directed. Attack of the Mosquito Woman.
I don't think I ever heard of it.
It never got released. It really sucked. Am I too late? I mean, has somebody already?
No.
No.
I'll bet you have a very interesting home life.
It was you I saw. Where have you been?
Tony and I decided to cook Victor together.
You and Tony, huh? What's the matter? You don't see enough of each other on set? If you're going to do something fun like commit a murder, it's only right that you do it with your wife.
Yes, dear.
Okay, Victor, you want to play?
I'm really going to enjoy this.
Oh. A couple more men and we can form a glee club.
Has anyone?
No.
Oh, you won't listen to me, huh? Well, I'll show you.
There's our tenor.
I don't understand.
You seldom do.
As?
No.
No?
We're in a body, meet a
everyone doing in here for? You all look like you're at a wake. But you can't have a wake without a body.
We've tried to do away with Victor.
Lord knows we've tried.
But we keep getting interrupted.
I've been on freeways with less traffic.
Now let me think. Miss Lamont, would you mind giving that cord a jerk? The one that calls the servants.
Certainly.
Speaking of jerks, has anyone seen Victor, the real one?
He was outside a few minutes ago. Why? Did you want to see him?
Well, I've got this. It's probably better if I don't.
There was a bell. Am I supposed to guess who rang it?
I called for you, Durwood. Would everyone else please clear out? But don't go too far.
Can I ask what you're going to do, Mr. Griffin?
I'm going to make it easier for one of you to commit a murder.
Is there a problem, sir?
Yes. You and I, we are going to fix it. Now everyone keeps trying to bump off the boss, and they keep stumbling all over each other. Now one way to get away with a crime, Durwood, is to do it in the dark. I trust you know where all the circuit breakers for this part of the house are.
All circuit breakers are located in the pantry, sir.
Let's pave the way for a murder.
If you don't mind, Victor 2, I could need this more than you do. I'm afraid I might have pushed one of our players too far.
I can't see anything!
Hurry up!
That is not my hand! I hate every single one of you!
I turned off the light!
Get out of my way!
I think your plan worked. I heard gunshots.
Oh.
Oh boy, did your plan work.
I think it may be easier to determine who didn't kill him.
And you want me to be the one that finds the body?
Well, you are the perfect choice. I mean, you're not one of the suspects, and I highly doubt if the killers will return before the body is discovered.
Now?
Now. Now what do we do?
We're supposed to act. Act!
Victor's been stabbed!
Shot!
Hey, Mother, poison!
You think that he is dead?
He's dead!
Just asking.
What should we do with the body?
If I may make a suggestion.
Oh, certainly, Mr. Griffin. You're the expert.
I suppose we should grab a sheet, lay it over the body, and lay the body somewhere out of the way where you can all get a good look at it for clues.
Excellent suggestion. Brenda, could you please bring a sheet from the linen closet? Sure, Mrs. Winslow.
Where do you want to put him?
How about over there, in the corner? That's out of the way?
Chad, help me.
Here you are.
Thanks, Dollface.
Well, it looks like someone finally paved the way for a murder to be committed. If I had to guess, I'd bet it was you, Pete.
Got it, boss.
Thanks. Just out of curiosity, how was I killed?
You were stabbed!
Shot!
Mother, poison!
Fabulous.
How are we supposed to find the murderer?
I know what you mean. There are more murderers than innocent bystanders. We'll just have to pick one deadly attack and assume it's the one that killed me. You say I was smothered?
Somebody put a plastic bag over your head.
How clever of them. If I have to go, I prefer to be murdered in style. How do you suggest in discovering who smothered me, Pete?
Well, the first step would be to question all the suspects, and then you would look for clues.
Ah, questions. I'll call this section of the game the third degree. All right, everybody. Your turn, Pete. Why don't you pair off into groups and question one another about your motives, alibis, and such. Then switch partners until everybody has questioned everybody else. I'll wander in and out among you and take notes.
And if I may make one more suggestion, assume everyone you're grilling is guilty. Pay close attention to all their testimonies. Many a criminal's been caught because they can't keep their stories straight.
Good advice. Well, what are you waiting for? Go play detective. Have fun. Enjoy the game.
You seem to be pleased with the way things are going.
Oh, I am. One thing I haven't done yet is go to look at the corpse.
You know, this reminds me of that Agatha Christie story. The one with the detective, Hercules or something, where he discovers that all of the suspects took turns stabbing the victim to death. So none of them could be charged for the actual murder. They could all be charged for attempted murder, I guess.
So you're a fan of mystery novels. So am I.
Well, I saw the movie.
The characters in that story couldn't have done a more thorough job than my guest did. Obviously, they are playing 13 Past Midnight with great enthusiasm.
There's no doubt about that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll join them.
Any ideas who did it?
Not yet. Though I did notice someone removed the knife that was by the dummy on the table earlier. I assume it was one of the suspects who stabbed the victim. But seeing as I were looking for the suspect who smothered the victim to death, I guess that would be a useless clue.
You're very observant. I'll be surprised if you don't turn out to be the winner of my little puzzle.
Well, I won't be if I don't get started. Excuse me.
The knife wasn't taken to provide an alibi, Mr. Griffin. It was for self-defense. Maureen, what are you doing?
I thought I'd clean up the spilled coffee, Mr. W. Since you let the housemaid and all the other servants except Brenda off the night, I figured I'd help keep things straight.
That's fine, except leave this room as it is. I wouldn't want you to disturb any clues the players might come across.
That's what you wanted.
You don't like me very much, do you, Maureen?
I don't like you at all, Mr. W.
But that's too bad because I like you. You're one of the very few people I know who will always give me an honest answer. Why do you dislike me so?
Because of what you're doing to Miss Catherine. In the years we've worked for you, Derwood and I have come to like her a lot. We think you're swapping her in for a newer model really stinks.
Just watch what you say, Maureen.
If you don't want to know what's on my mind, don't ask me. I'm not afraid of you, Mr. W. What's the worst thing you could do to me? Fire me? I'm a good cook, and I can get another job just like that.
Then I suggest you attend to the one you have now. There have been people in and out of the living room. Why don't you see if it needs tidying up?
You're the boss.
Maureen, don't tell anyone I'm in the game. I plan to hide behind the bar and see if any of the players discover any clues in here.
Like spilled coffee that's going to ruin a perfectly good table, but it's your table.
Precisely. Ah, good. It's clouding over. Maybe we'll get a storm. That would provide the perfect atmosphere for our little party. Who is it? Who's there? I know who it is. You're the only one who wears that very distinctive brand of cologne. What if there's a piece of incriminating evidence behind it? Pray continue. I'll say it if you're...
Pete? Pete? Why didn't you warn me you were going to create another blackout? Pete! Flashlight. There should be a flashlight. Pete, somebody! Somebody help me!
Guys, is that you?
Yes!
Where are you?
Behind the sofa!
It's okay. Pete's here.
Hold me.
Tell Pete what happened.
I thought you might be in here, and so I came in. And when I came in, it was dark, and so I felt my way over to the bar. And when I turned on the flashlight, the dummy was standing right beside me.
It was standing.
It was standing. The knives were still in its chest, and the noose around its neck, and the bag over its head. It looked horrible.
Stay here. I'll take a look.
Pete.
There's nothing here.
It was there. I swear the thing was there.
I believe you, but whoever took the dummy for a stroll has obviously put it back where it belongs.
That was somebody's idea of a joke. I don't think it was very funny. I'm not even playing Mr. Winslow's dumb game, and it scared me half to death.
I heard a scream. Has someone been hurt?
No, Miss Mon, I screamed because I was frightened.
That's a good reason.
What's going on?
We were in the garden when we saw all the house lights go on.
I figure it was one of the boss's pranks.
That sounds like him. Let's take a break, Skylar.
Where is Victor? This plunging the house in practice has got to stop. Someone could get hurt.
I agree. That's why I plan on sitting right here until we're sure the lights are on for good.
I'll join you. Why did the lights go out again?
I thought I had suddenly died.
Then we're here to sleep.
That's when I knew I was still alive.
I'm the one that screamed. I'm sorry. Come, Talbert. You need to sit down.
Freeze, suckers! I scream, has there been another murder?
Not that we know of, Mr. Anderson. You may relax.
Oh, well,
What's happened now? I was looking for clues outside when the lights went out.
It was a false alarm. Everyone's fine.
I'm getting a little tired of Victor's stupid game. I could have broken a heel running to the house. I better have grass stains on my shoes as it is.
That was you that screamed, wasn't it? Did you hurt yourself in the dark?
No, Maureen, I just had a scare.
Mr. W's game is getting too dangerous. I was taking a fresh pot of coffee off the stove and lights him down. I could have been burned.
You weren't hurt, were you, Maureen?
Don't you fret yourself about that, Miss Catherine. I know that kitchen so well I could move about in it if I was blind. Which I was for the moment.
You didn't douse the lights, did you, Derwood? On Mr. Winslow's orders?
Not I, sir. Whoever switched off the circuit breakers not only darkened this wing, they switched off the current to the entire house. Luckily, I was able to find a flashlight and turn the breakers back on again.
Just wait till I get my hands on him.
You and everyone else, I imagine, we heard a scream.
Brenda got a scare.
Who didn't? Let's join the party, Eve. We keep hearing about this scare of yours. What frightened you, dear?
Well, I was in the hallway when the lights went out, and so I came in here. And I could sense someone was in here with me. And so I felt my way to the bar, and when I turned on the flashlight, Mr. Winslow's dummy was standing right beside me. I screamed and I dropped the flashlight.
it was standing beside you.
I figure someone had to have been kneeling behind the bar and holding it up.
I'll bet it was Victor. It's kind of cruel joke he'd pull.
Well, old Victor too seems to have gotten back under the covers.
Ouch! Son of a gun! I better move you before someone else falls over you and breaks his neck.
I don't know which of you tossed the dummy outside, but it was a dumb thing to do. I fell over it and nearly cracked my kneecap. What? What is it?
If Chad found that outside.
It wasn't a machine! Not unless we can find Victor's hidden cutoff switch to the phones. You have no idea where that is, Miss Winslow.
None. Last Wednesday, Victor gave all the servants the afternoon off and insisted I visit my sister. He had the house entirely to himself. When I arrived later that afternoon, a truck from the telephone company was just leaving. Victor told me they just installed the switch for tonight's game.
I know. We can call the telephone company and ask them where.
It's a cinch Skylar didn't stab Victor with a dart. He'd never figure out she could use it as a weapon. Couldn't we search for the device?
Well, I guess we could, but in a house this big, we'd be lucky to find it before the gates open at 6 anyways.
We did as you requested, Mr. Griffin. Mr. Winslow's body is in his bedroom. It is locked. Here is a key.
I would have helped with the body, but I have this thing about the red sticky liquid.
We know Skylar. You get sick at the sight of tomato juice. That's where Skylar couldn't have done it.
Are you forgetting? Victor was stabbed in the dark. I'm sure Skylar could have done it as long as he didn't have a CD.
Don't say the words.
Sticky red liquid.
If nobody objects, I think I'm gonna make myself a drink.
Wait, Mr. Anderson, don't touch anything. The killer was behind the bar at one point this evening, when Brenda almost caught him removing the dummy. He may have left some evidence behind.
He or she. The dummy is not that heavy. I moved myself earlier tonight when Skylar and I were trying to kill him. I mean it.
Good point. Actually, I'd like to seal this room off until the cops have a chance to inspect it. Can that be done?
Only if someone remains in here. The bar bathroom doors, the French doors, and the sliding doors can all be locked from the inside. But they don't have keys.
That'll work. I'll have Brenda lock herself in here.
Brenda? Why her? I don't want the girl put in danger if the girl has any reason to want to return to this room.
Don't worry about me, Maureen. I'll be fine.
I intend to come back after I get a look around outside. I want to see if I can find a way to short-circuit the current that's running through the gate.
This might sound chauvinistic, but wouldn't you rather have a man guard the place? I'll stay.
No, Mr. Anderson, I would not. Brenda is the only one of you I can be sure of did not kill Mr. Winslow herself. She nearly walked in on the killer while he, or she, was committing the act.
We only have her word for that. It's true.
Well, you all saw how pale and frightened she was. I believe her.
Well, if that's settled, I plan to lie down in my room for a while with that door locked.
Do you think the rest of us are in any danger, Mr. Griffin?
I wouldn't think so. Unless any of you know something about the killer, which the murderer does not want to be revealed.
I think I'll find a book to read in the library.
I'll lock the door behind you.
Maybe I can find something to read too. Anything but a murder mystery.
I'm probably the only one besides you who had no reason to kill Victor. There's something I need to check in here. I'll be back when the others have cleared away.
But Miss Lamont, I'm not supposed to let...
I took care of that door. How does this one work?
Oh, the lock is here. You just push this button. Do you have to go outside? It's about to storm.
I really do. We need to get the cops here as soon as possible.
Well, please be careful. It's as black as pitch out there.
I can take care of myself. Lock the door behind me and pull that bell cord if anyone tries to get in. That should summon help.
Pete.
There's no time. Just make sure no one gets in and hold on to this till I get back.
It's Lila Lamont. Let me in.
I'm not supposed to let anyone in.
I didn't kill Victor, but I need to find out who did. If I could figure out who his murderer is, it could be the scoop of my career.
And how do you hope to do that?
By finding clues, my dear. I've already found one.
You have?
What? Over here. Did you notice, while the men were moving the body, a knife fell from his hands like the one he passed out for the game?
I didn't. I looked away.
Well, the detective picked it up, but I saw him. That's when I came over here and I noticed this.
It looks like a scratch.
It is a scratch. I think Victor was trying to tell us who murdered him.
But how could he tell if it was dark?
I don't know. Maybe the murderer said something and he recognized them that way. But I'm sure he carved this mark into the floor as a dying clue.
But what is it? I mean, it's not an initial, a letter, It looks like an upside-down V.
That or a circumflex.
A what?
A circumflex. It's a diacritical mark, sometimes used over certain letters in foreign languages. Usually newspaper writers have this on their typewriter.
Well, would Mr. Winslow be familiar with it? And if he was, what was he trying to say?
That's what I need to figure out. Maybe he was trying to carve an M, but died before he could finish it. M. That could stand for Maureen, the cook, or Chad Martin. I've heard Catherine mention your last name before now. What was it?
Moss.
Okay.
Miss Lamont, you said yourself I had no reason to kill Mr. Winslow.
None that I know of. You're a very attractive young lady. Victor could have tried to force his attentions on you.
But he didn't. And I don't know about Mr. Martin, but I know Maureen didn't kill him either. I mean, why would she?
You do have to admit, Maureen is very devoted to Catherine.
I don't understand.
If Victor and Catherine would have got divorced, Catherine would have got a pittance of his fortune. As his widow, she'd be fabulously wealthy.
Still, I don't
underestimate anyone's ability to commit a murder. I've been in the newspaper business long enough to know the atrocities we humans are capable of, even the most seemingly innocent among us.
You've become a cynic, Miss Lamont.
I've become a realist, my dear. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to the library to see if there's any other meaning for that mark. Victor was a game player. If he knew he had but moments to live, he could have tried to name his murderer using a code. I intend to decipher that code.
Well, good luck. If you want to go to the library through the bathroom door, I'll lock the door behind you.
Thank you.
It is only I, Miss Brenda. I came to make sure you're all right. Why wasn't this door locked?
It was, but never mind. I was just about to lock it again.
Miss Brenda, there's something I wanted to ask you, privately.
What is it?
When the lights went out, the second time, were you in the kitchen before you came in here?
No, I was in the hallway. Why?
I was hoping you'd be able to corroborate Maureen's alibi. But when we were questioned by the authorities, by the time I got to the kitchen to get a flashlight, she was gone.
Surely you don't think that...
Of course not. But what you and I believe, and what the police believe, might not be the same.
Well, it appears that most of the people were alone in the house when the lights went off. I wouldn't have any suspicions about Maureen any more than the rest of us.
Perhaps you're right. I'll check on her in the kitchen. The door?
Yes.
Run up! Quick! Open the door!
What is it? What happened?
The doorman, someone with a moose. Pull the bell cord.
Derwood! Help!
Whatever has happened.
Someone open the dog cages.
Edgar! Agatha! Come with me. Silence! Coffee!
What? Are you okay?
I'll let you know when I check the seat of my pants. If those dogs are gonna chunk out of me, it's not because they didn't try. I think somebody just tried to have me killed. Or at the very least, put me out of commission.
Oh, come sit down. Tell me what happened.
I was almost to the gate when someone snuck up from behind me and bashed me in the back of the head with a rock.
Oh, did you see who it was?
I had no idea. They were hiding behind a tree or something, and they just snuck up from behind me and hit me, and I went out like a light. I almost went out for several minutes, and when I finally came to, the dogs were right in the corner of the house, coming right at me.
Why would someone open the cages?
To stop me from finding a way out, I figure the killer has a good reason to want to keep us here for a few more hours. That would allow them to get rid of any evidence.
Evidence. In the excitement, I nearly forgot. Miss Lamont was in here. She found his mark scratched on the floor.
I was wondering if anyone else noticed that. I figured the boss made it.
She did too. She's in the library now trying to figure out if it has any other meaning.
Mr. Griffin, are you all right, sir? I assume the dogs were trying to attack you.
You got that right, Derwood. They didn't get me, but a two-legged dog did. Somebody cracked me in the back of the head with a rock.
Oh, dear. May I get you anything? Iodine? A wet towel, maybe?
No, it didn't break the skin. I'm fine. Tell me, Derwood, who could have released the dogs without being attacked by them themselves, that is?
Any of the guests who are familiar with the household. and most of them have been here before. There's a button by the side door that leads to the cages and opens them electronically. During inclement weather especially, we can release Edgar and Agatha without going outside.
And who can control them? I mean, who have they been trained to obey?
Mr. and Mrs. Winslow, and I.
I see. Well, thanks, Derwood. I owe you one.
No problem, if that's all.
Yeah.
Thanks for meeting me, Derwood.
You're most welcome.
I have a feeling it's more important than ever to keep this room guarded.
You think the murderer might try and scratch out the mark on the floor?
Well, they think no one has seen it yet. And there may be other evidence they need to destroy as well. To do that, we've got to get through me. That reminds me, it's my rod. I want to make sure whoever knocked me out didn't pull a switcheroo with one of the blank pistols.
What do we do now?
I suppose we take a look around the room and see if we can find anything.
Miss Lamont!
The lights are out in the library. I can't find a switch.
It's in the hallway by the bathroom door.
A flashlight. She's dead. Someone hit her in the head with a hard object in it. It cracked her skull.
Poor woman. She was trying to give you this.
The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Nathaniel. The name rings a bell. Where have I heard that recently?
I don't know any Nathaniels.
It'll come to me. This book is obviously a clue to the identity of the murderer. Miss Lamont used her last ounce of strength to bring it to us. I will take a look in the library and see if I can find anything else.
Do you have to?
Whoever killed Miss Lamont will be long gone by now. I'll be fine. The flashlight. I found the lay switch. This was on the floor. I believe it's the murder weapon.
Do you think the murderer's fingerprints are on it?
Maybe. We'll make sure no one touches it until the cops have a chance to inspect it.
Miss Lamont.
She's dead, I'm afraid. The murderer struck again.
Derwood, would you be good enough to round up everyone and have them come here?
Immediately.
It seems like this night will never end.
It'll end.
As bad as it's been, it still has one bright spot. It's the night I met you.
I'm grateful for that, too.
Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. The bathroom door was open.
Don't worry about it. I'm having Derwood bring everyone else in here as well.
Did you solve the crime? Do you know who murdered Victor?
No, not yet, but whoever it was has also killed Miss Lamont.
Lila? Why?
We believe she discovered who murdered the boss.
Derwood said Lila. It's true.
Afraid so.
You sent for us. Miss Lamont?
She's dead. But Derwood said Lila has been murdered?
I'm afraid to tell you that it's true, Miss Burke.
Was she headstrong, Lila? Don't get me wrong. I liked her. But she should have stuck to her gossip column and left the crime scene to someone else. It's happened again.
I can't look.
Mr. Griffin,
I see everyone is now aware of the latest development.
Someone hit her.
Miss Lamont is no longer with us. Derwood, Mr. Anderson. Would you be good enough to take her body to one of the upstairs bedrooms?
Of course.
Maureen, here, sit down.
Make sure not to touch the bookend.
Is it the murder weapon?
Apparently so. The cops wanted us to for prints.
Lila could be a real pain in the neck sometimes. But why would anyone want to kill her?
We think, Brenda and me, that she discovered who knocked off the boss. This person realized that she knew and smashed her on the head with a bookend. Before Miss Lamont died, though, she staggered in here with a book. This book. We believe it's a clue to the identity of the murderer.
What book is it?
The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Nathaniel!
Hey, don't look at me.
But that's the name of the character you play on the stove.
That's it. That's where I've heard the name before.
So what? It's a coincidence. You couldn't have meant me.
I guess it's all right to tell all of you now. The boss had included his own murder, her, as well. As he lay on the ground bleeding to death, he managed to carve a mark onto the floor. Looking at it from his perspective, it looks like an upside-down V.
If you were trying to carve an initial, you could have carved out an M before he died.
As in Martin?
No, I'm innocent. You can't prove I killed anyone.
What was that?
Mr. Griffin thinks Chad is the murderer. Chad got hysterical and ran out.
He cannot leave the estate for more than an hour.
I'll find him.
I don't think Chad did it, in spite of your clues. He's just not the type of guy who would kill anyone.
Well, hopefully when the cops get here, they'll be able to determine whether or not he's guilty. The book and the mark on the floor are all circumstantial evidence. But if his prints are on that bookend, that would be concrete. And that would nail him.
What now? Do we sit here and wait till 6 o'clock when one of us can go for the police?
Do you have any better suggestions, Eve?
I do. Mr. W. instructed me to prepare breakfast for 5 o'clock. It's almost ready if anyone would like to eat.
Food?
I'm not very hungry.
Actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea if all of you ate. When the cops get here, they're going to take hours examining the bodies and the evidence and questioning all of you. You'll need your strength.
I wouldn't mind some Wheaties.
I'll put the food on the dining table. Whoever wants some can help themselves.
Durwood, would you mind helping Maureen in the kitchen? I want Brenda to lock herself in here until I can find Mr. Martin.
As you wish, sir.
Do you think Mr. Martin might come back and try and destroy the murder weapon?
Well, if it was me, I know I'd come back. To at least wipe it for prints. There's no guarantee there's a legible set of prints on the bookend, but if it was me, I wouldn't take that chance. If he does come back, I want to make sure you're safe. I have got a plan.
All but the hallway doors are secured, Mr. Griffin.
Thanks, Durwood.
That's amazing. How did you think of that?
Don't worry, I don't have any time. But make sure no one gets in, all right?
Okay. Mr. Martin? Who is it? Captain Winslow. Just a moment. Is anything the matter, Mrs. Winslow?
No, it's nothing like that. You see, I wanted to speak to you alone. I plan to speak to each of the household staff privately. Well, I want to thank you for all the support you've given me during these past few months. Things haven't always been pleasant around here. And when the house is settled and all, I plan to raise your salaries and provide other benefits.
That's so nice of you, Mrs. Winslow. You've always been very kind, very fair. I'm glad that everything happened so you get the house and all. Not that I meant Mr. Winslow
I
any
know
harm.
what you mean. Thank you, Brenda. Well, better go make sure everyone's getting served. Chad. I can't believe it was Chad.
I wouldn't have thought he had the nerve to kill one person, much less two.
Yes. Well.
Pete is right. We'll be in for some even bigger surprises before the night is over.
Brenda, it's me! He's been hurt! Pete? I decided to search for Chad myself. I thought, if I could find him, I could talk him into giving himself up. I didn't find him, but I found Mr. Griffin. He's lying by the tool shed unconscious. Here, put this on and see if you can revive him. I'll try and get a first aid kit.
He's alive?
I think so. If you talk to him, maybe he'll respond to you.
I hope you're right. Go get some men to help me carry him inside.
I will, just hurry!
You haven't destroyed the real murder weapon, Miss Fulton. The one with your fingerprints on it? That is hidden safely away. That one's its mate. We dipped it in the blood Miss Lamont shed on the library floor.
We?
Pete and I. He figured out your victim's clues didn't lead to Mr. Martin, but to you.
Then I'll have to eliminate him as well. I had planned to take care of you away from the house at the tool shed after I dealt with the bookend. Chad could have taken the blame for that murder too. Tell me, how did your friend, the detective, come to discover I had killed Victor and Delilah?
The realization struck him when somebody called you by name as he was looking at the book cover. Eve Gables. He knew in a flash that Mr. Winslow had carved the eave of a house. Miss Lamont knew that too when she looked at the 7 gables on the book jacket. Now, you must have been in there with her. What happened? Did her expression give her away?
Yes, I could tell the moment she put 2 and 2 together. You should have seen the fear in her eyes when it dawned on her she was talking to a murderer. We disliked each other for years. It was a pleasure to smash her skull in with a bookend. When she screamed, she managed to knock it from my hands and turn out the light switch. I had to escape before I could finish the job and wipe my prints off the weapon. Everyone will think Chad did it. He'll take the rap for all of the murders. Victor, Lila, Mr. Griffin, and you.
Why? Why did you kill Mr. Winslow in the first place?
Gary told me earlier tonight that Victor had been meeting secretly with my assistant. He suggested Victor might be planning to give me the axe. I got him alone later and insisted if he'd tell me if it was true. He admitted it. He said it was time to pump fresh blood into the writing. I was going to be fired. The character he planned to do away with was Lulu, Zara, after he dumped Catherine and married her.
Miss Fulton, hasn't this gone far enough? Why don't you give yourself up?
Never! Not while there's a chance to save my career. When the new producer takes over the soap, he'll depend on us old-timers to carry it on. I'll do what I have to do to keep my job. Now give me the bookend!
You can't threaten me with that. It's one of the guns Mr. Winslow handed out. It's filled with blanks.
It was before I exchanged them with the bullets I took from the detective's gun after I knocked him out. I'll ask you one more time! Where is the bookend? I won't tell you! I think you will! I can make your death quick and easy, or I can make it painful. Now tell me, where is the bookend? I won't! I think you will! Ah! No! You're gonna tell me! No! Ah! You tricked me! Yeah.
I figured it was the only way I could get you to admit your guilt. If you didn't leave a legible set of prints on the bookend, I can prove my hunch. And if the evidence pointed to both you and Mr. Martin, the law could have prosecuted either of you for the murder, and you would have gotten away with this.
So you devised this trap to catch me. Very clever. You should have become a writer, Mr. Griffin. Television could use your talents.
But the law can use them better when he puts criminals like you behind bars.
You're pretty clever yourself. I'm glad you told Brenda about switching the bullets and the blanks. I had thought of someone switching the guns, but not those. Had I made my move any earlier, I would have found myself eating lead. I think you should have a seat over there.
Let us in! Let us in!
What's going on in there?
What's going on? What's this?
Brenda! Here, come to the car. Are you alright?
No, Maureen, the danger is over. Pete caught our murderer. It's Eve Fulton.
You killed Victor? Why?
He deserved to die!
He was going to fire her from the show. His death led to one more, and almost 2 others.
But you stopped her. I'm so proud of you.
All in a day's work, sweetheart.
I'm back, and I've been thinking about it. I've decided to let the police arrest me. Let them take me to trial. They can't prove I killed anyone. By the time I'm found not guilty, the publicity will have made me an international star. Put the cuffs on me.
Chad, you're all wet.